You know, for the longest time, the idea of a made-in-India semiconductor chip, well, it felt like something way off in the future. But here we are, in 2026, and it's not just a dream anymore. It's actually happening. So how on earth did India pull this off, in what might be the toughest industry in the world? Let's break it down.
Right, so that's the big question, isn't it? How did this happen, and happen so fast? I mean, what was the secret sauce that took India's chip ambitions from just paper plans to actual working production lines, especially after so many years of trying? That's exactly what we're going to unpack. Okay, so the real game changer, the moment everything shifted, was the Union Budget of 2026. Now, this wasn't your typical run-of-the-mill budget announcement. No, this was the official launch of a brand new, super aggressive strategy, something they called the India Semiconductor Mission 2.0, or, ISM 2.0 for short.
Now, to really get why ISM 2.0 is such a big deal, we have to look at how different it is from the original plan. This was a total pivot. It's like they tore up the old playbook and decided to completely rethink India's place in the global tech world.
The change in thinking here is just massive. Think of it this way. The first mission, ISM 1.0, was all about getting a seat at the table. It did a great job attracting big companies, setting India up as a major hub for chip design. But ISM 2.0, that's about wanting to own the restaurant. The goal isn't just to play the game anymore, it's to control the most important parts of it and create India's very own intellectual property.
So, how do you even begin to do something that ambitious? Well, the whole strategy revolves around creating what they call a full-stack ecosystem. And that whole thing is built on three main pillars, all designed to build an industry that can stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah, full stack is a term that gets thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean in this case? It's pretty simple, actually. It means controlling the whole shebang, from start to finish. From the special chemicals and gases you need, to the mind-bogglingly complex machines in the factories, all the way to owning the brains of the chip itself. The designs, the IP, it's all about making sure India isn't vulnerable to shocks in the global supply chain. It all boils down to these 3 key steps. First, they're focusing upstream. That means trying to make the critical equipment and materials right there in India. Second, a huge push for IP sovereignty. Basically, moving away from just designing chips for foreign companies to actually owning the core technology. And third, they're beefing up the Design-Linked Incentive Scheme, the DLI. This is going to directly back more than 50 homegrown fabless companies, the brainiacs who design the chips, to cook up the next wave of Indian-owned tech.
And listen, this isn't just throwing money at the wall to see what sticks. The new DLI scheme is laser-focused on the areas that matter most. We're talking chips for high-performance computing, for 5G networking, for power management in electric vehicles, for all the sensors and the Internet of Things, and of course, memory. These are literally the building blocks for everything in our future.
Okay, so that's the grand plan. Sounds good, right? But plans are one thing. Execution is another. And this is where the story gets really incredible. How fast all these blueprints are turning into actual factories with real money and real chips coming out the other end.
Just get a load of this number, 1.6 lakh crore rupees. To put that into perspective for you, that's about 20 billion US dollars. And get this, that's the investment for just the first 10 projects they approved. This is not a test run, this is a serious all-in kind of bet.
And this isn't some pie-in-the-sky promise for the future. This is happening right now. I mean, look at this table. Micron and CG Power have already started commercial production. They're shipping chips. Tata's huge fabs are right behind them, set to start rolling chips out later this year. It's really, really happening.
And it's not just about the tech and the factories. It's about people. We are already seeing over 51,000 direct jobs created. And that's just from the component projects that have been approved so far. That's a huge number, and it's only going to get bigger as this whole ecosystem grows.
Okay, so this is obviously massive for India. But why should the rest of the world care? Well, because this isn't happening in a bubble. This is about India strategically carving out a new, essential role for itself in the global tech landscape. And they have some serious advantages making that happen. First, for every company looking for a China Plus One supply chain, India is suddenly the obvious, reliable answer for mature node chips. Those are the workhorse chips that are in like 70% of all electronics. They're also locking down their own supply of critical rare earth minerals. And maybe the biggest deal for the local startup scene? For the first time, Indian companies can finalize their chip designs, that's a process called tape-out, right at home. That is a massive game changer for cutting costs and speeding things up.
And this chart really tells the whole story. You see that giant bar, right? 40,000 crore rupees for manufacturing. That's huge, but that's only half the picture. Look at that second bar, a dedicated 1,000 crore just for the skills pipeline, for AI labs and training centers. They know that shiny new factories are pretty useless without the smart people to run them. This is about playing the long game.
And that perfectly sums up the whole approach. This is a marathon, not a sprint. They aren't trying to beat the world's top chip makers overnight. No way. They're playing it smart, building a rock-solid foundation by mastering packaging and mature chips first. They're building up the muscle, and then they'll go for the title.
So when you put it all together, the money, the strategy, the skills, the factories that are already up and running, it really leads you to one massive question, doesn't it? With the foundation they're laying down right now, in 2026, are we watching India get on the fast track to becoming a real semiconductor superpower by 2035? The race is definitely on.